Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello and welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. I'm Karen Nowicki, and I'm the studio owner and host for today's episode, and I'm very excited to welcome back to the studio, it's been a while, my friend, Jim Hilliard. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
I'm so glad to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
I feel like we thought it was before COVID that you were on with us last time. Was it, or was it during COVID?
It was right after some of these shootings. I was involved with active shooters.
I remember. So whatever that timeline is, and I appreciate that conversation. Jim is a business advocate with Proactive Connections, and we've got a public service announcement today, and really something that all merchants and all business owners need to, sit up and listen to. So Jim has come on board and invited his friend Patrick Talley, who is a financial specialist, on with us as well. And we have Patrick on remotely with us. Welcome to the studio, Patrick.
Well, thank you, Karen. Good afternoon.
I'm
really excited to be here with you guys.
We're happy to have you as well. And where are you patching in from today? What corner of the world are you?
Well, I'm actually 45 miles northwest of the happiest place on the planet. Walt Disney World makes me say that here in beautiful Central Florida. But I'm visiting in the villages today. So I'm coming to you from the villages.
Perfect. Well, we are looking for today's conversation. Before we get into the topic at hand, I would love for each of you to briefly introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about who you are professionally, and then what are you up to now, and why is today's conversation so important for business owners to sit up and listen to? Jim, are you comfortable starting first?
Sure, I'll try. To start with, I've had kind of a varied career. Karen has seen different angles. I came from a law enforcement background. I ended up in electronic banking as the implementer of the first automated teller network for the Bank of America. I got promoted into that because the person in front of me got murdered, and I was the only single non-family member that was available, so they threw me into the mix. Wow. In the early 90s, we got involved with automated tellers, and there was no internet. It was all hardwired. Back in about I think it was 1975, but in 1990, I actually got involved with the merchant service industry and the private ATM networks. Patrick and I now work with a team of forensic auditors that are involved with preventing Mastercard, Visa, or any of the processing entities from overcharging them. And the reason I asked Patrick to join us is he's become almost our subject matter expert on the issues of the Mastercard, Visa, and also the class action suit. So that's basically where we stand.
Great intro. Patrick, if you do the same, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's start having a conversation that, all of our folks need to be aware of.
Well, I have to share, my background's not quite as colorful as Jim's. There haven't been any of the negative incidents involved, but I started working for the phone company out of college, been in the telecom industry for 36 and a half years, including owning my own telecom business dealership, and got into financial services after the year 2000 when I lost 35% of my lifetime savings in my retirement account. And I knew there had to be a better way to do things, so I started studying money and finances from that point. To this point, I've helped recover and save clients millions and millions of dollars, interest on their mortgages, their credit cards, their student loans, automobile debt, anything else that had interest associated with it. I was involved in the BP oil spill recovery. My team and I recovered millions of dollars for businesses and individuals here in Central Florida on the West Coast with the BP oil spill. And I just help people with their retirement plans. This project came to my attention as being involved with a forensic auditing company that Jim mentioned. And this lawsuit settlement has just come up and kind of given us the perfect mix for people to understand that there is presently something they can do about their existing charges. Everyone's being overcharged. And if you can't agree with that, you should read the lawsuit settlement that the judge says everyone has been overcharged for years and years and years. the reason for the $5.5 billion settlement. So that's my background. I love helping people. I love helping businesses with their finances. I want to help everybody live a fantastic financial life and not be part of the classes that are just living paycheck to paycheck. And I want to keep all of our businesses opening and thriving instead of just sustaining themselves.
A very noble perspective and the way in which you live. And obviously grateful for your expertise, both of you, to help other business owners. So for our viewers and listeners, let's back up now that we've introduced both of you, and let's specifically talk about the class action lawsuit and the timeline, because we're doing this today because you all are pressed up against a timeline. So both of you can speak to that, but let's kind of set the tone first so that our viewers and listeners stay with us, because this is going to be important for them going forward.
And probably the most important thing we can share with everyone this morning is that you have until May 31st midnight in your time zone to file your claim with the court. That doesn't mean all of your paperwork has to be done, but your initial claim filing has to be filed with the court by May 31st at midnight. The court's going to walk you through additional steps that need to be taken and documents that need to be supplied. But again, you've got to do your initial filing by May 31st. We've created an extremely easy way to do that by going to our website, startmycclaim.com. That's startmycclaim.com. We're going to gather some of your contact information and then direct you to the court website so that you can submit your claim. And that service is absolutely free. We're just trying to get the word out to 18.6 million business owners in America that they have the right to do this. And one of the problems that we've experienced so far, other than the short time frame to be able to file this claim, because they only gave us 6 weeks, 3 weeks is gone. So they only have 22 days left to make sure that every business owner in America is aware of their right to file for their portion of the claim.
Okay, so let's talk about the background on this Visa Mastercard class action lawsuit. My familiarity is I feel like the law has been in place for about 9 years as far as, not being able to overcharge, but give us a little bit of background about the industry. And then, of course, anything else that we need to know about the actual lawsuit itself.
Well, actually, the majority of the industry is completely unregulated. There are some regulations when it comes to the overseeing of the industry, but no detailed. So the processors can really charge you whatever they want to charge you, and they're very good at concealing and convoluting your statements. So as a business owner, when you get your monthly statement, you don't write them a check in most cases. They take the money out before you receive what's left over. So you really have no control over the statements. You can't read them, you can't understand them, and they're intentionally done that way to keep you confused. We have statements that we audit all the time with charges that are just completely made up charges, like credits for discounted services. Well, if it's a credit, then why is it a discount? And $92 is the charge for that on a monthly basis in some cases. So we find those problems, and it's because of what MasterCard and Visa have done all these years, starting back as early as 2004 up until 2019, which is the basis for the timeline for the lawsuit itself. We believe the original lawsuit was started by Walmart Corporation, and they engaged a lot of other retail businesses into the lawsuit, and it became a class action lawsuit. As the attorneys were studying the class action lawsuit, somebody realized that, wait a minute, MasterCard and Visa have violated the Sherman Antitrust Act, which was put in place in the 1940s against some of the larger corporations in America. And it became one of the first class action antitrust lawsuits in the country. It took until 2019 to come up with a final determination. And then Visa MasterCard wanted to have that overturned on appeal. And that it's been in court since then. And just recently, 6 years in court in the appeals court, and just recently overturned, so that now the business owners can get the money they deserve to get back from the period of 2004 to 2019.
anything that Patrick hasn't thought to share that you already know in working with him in tandem on this, that just jump in, Jim, if there's
Okay.
something that, you want him to do a deeper dive with?
Well, I'm actually ready to talk about our process more than I would rather have Patrick talk about the lawsuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on the lawsuit then?
Well, we just want businesses to know that even if they weren't in business during that entire period, if they were only in business in 16, 17, 18, and 19, they can file and still recover based on the transaction volumes that they did. And then, of course, the amount of years that they were involved with this business. This is not a complicated lawsuit at this point. We have companies that are very willing to file the claim on behalf of a business owner. But in this particular case, there's a lot of legal work being involved here. So alert attorneys that are offering to file on a company's behalf, there is no legal work to be done. All that's been done. If you want to use an accountant or if you want to use a settlement company, that's fine as well. But this is not that complicated. You shouldn't need those folks. Most of those records are going to be available that the court's going to request from you. So we just want everybody to know that they don't have to pay to be a part of this settlement. We don't charge anything up front, and we don't charge anything for our auditing services for the portion that Jim's going to talk about as well. So there's a better way to do this as a business. And again, it's all about keeping as much money in the business owner's bottom line as we can possibly do for them.
Great. So before you talk a little bit how you are working with businesses, Patrick, you mentioned that it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, right? I'm wondering size of business or other, just think from the business owner's perspective. Are there any other aspects of this? Like who is this for and who is this not for? Does it matter size?
It does not matter size.
Yep.
If you process credit cards from 2004 to 2019, you can be the mom and pop corner convenience store out in Timbuktu. And again, it ranges all the way up from mom and pops to franchises to individual business owners to corporations. We're working a lot with hospitals because we do a lot on the auditing side with hospitals themselves, even Major League Baseball. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you accepted credit cards between 2004 and 2019, you qualify and you're eligible to file for your portion of the claim for this lawsuit.
Okay, great.
Great. Now, the one thing Patrick didn't mention is the Visa Mastercard has the ability, because it's an unregulated industry, to change exchange rates. I believe they modified their exchange rates, 7 times last year?
Yes.
And
in some industries up to 9.
Okay.
And usually that's only done a couple of times a year. And it's really odd that the exchange that was done in April, they do that during April and October when businesses are really busy thinking about their taxes and their personal taxes. So they make the interchange increases during those times normally. During COVID, they kind of slacked off because businesses weren't doing as much volume and they were afraid of losing the client. But it's interesting that now that this $5.5 billion lawsuit has been announced, that the interchange exchange increase in last month was 1.5% compared to fractions of a percent in all the increases prior to that. So they're going to come get it back, and we're going to help businesses not pay that increase as well.
Right. And as Patrick indicated earlier, when they have these rates that go onto these fees, they're done on the transaction itself. And so it's usually in basis points or 1/1000ths. And as a result, it rounds off to 2 decimal places and you don't see it. However, it adds up. And one of the things, and I looked at these kind of records back in the 90s, and that was my job, and I had a hard time figuring it out. So what we do as an organization, and I'm about to lose my headset, is we analyze on a monthly basis every line item on our clients' merchant statements. We look for, are they correct charges? Are the extensions? We've seen some errors where there were 0 transactions and they still charge $92 or $93. And nobody can explain it, but we found it and nobody sees it. So we'll look for errors that are errors or fraudulent charges, created charges. We will come to the client at the initial part of the business and explain what we see we can do for them. And quite frankly, if we can't save the client $1,200 a year, we will not engage, but we will tell them the things they should look into. Now, it's very important to note, Karen, you have some background in the credit card business, that the statements made by the sales rep aren't necessarily what they see on their statements.
Right.
And so what we looked at was, how do we protect the individual merchant? And with our capabilities, we have, I believe, over 20 forensic auditors now, and over $1 million worth of software that analyzes this. And I think, Patrick, I thought you said we were doing $22 billion a quarter in analyzing. Does that sound right?
Over $22 billion in transactions per quarter that we're monitoring on behalf of our clients.
So, but all of our auditors are looking for ways to recover money. We also have a team that will recover the money. And we've had some major recoveries that, obviously under client privileges, we can't name names and all, but as Patrick said, we handle Major League Baseball. We also handle 2 major airlines. And one of the problems with the credit card business is every credit card, and there's 4,200 different types of credit cards, has a different rate per transaction. And the transaction is based on risk. It's based on card presence. It's based on volume. It's based on a number of different things. And normally the person in accounts receivable doesn't understand it. They see a bank deposit. When we do present initially, the client agrees to let us handle the situation. We will go for, we're not aiming for 1,200. We're aiming for more. Okay. We had one incident just recently with a one doctor chiropractor that we were able to save him, I believe it was just over $675 a month on credit cards. We get into the process, we inform them of what we found, and then we look at it and say, here's what we can do. Do you want us to or not? If they say yes, we recover. And then on an ongoing basis, on a monthly basis, we review their transactions and keep that savings. Because the other thing that can happen is they could go to their processor and say, these guys think I've overcharged, you have overcharged me for $100. And the guy says, well, let's just give it $50 and we're fine. Well, the next month the charge comes back on. We don't let that happen. And so, we're preventing future overcharges. Along the same lines, and a major thing that we both should have offered earlier is we are not in the merchant service business. We don't sell merchant service processing. We don't sell merchant service equipment, and we are not selling banking relationships. So all our goal is to save you money without changing anything. That's where we go. And so now the next question that probably any normal person would ask is, what does all this cost?
I was just getting ready to ask that.
Well, in our situation, we do not charge for the audit or the analyzation. And
Why?
Because we're sharing on the back end. We're only sharing on the savings. We're not like a law firm that has a retainer.
Good.
We basically will help you get your money and then we'll share in it. If we don't share a lot of money, we don't make a lot of money.
So the audit is complimentary. It
Right.
gets the ball rolling. It's a discovery to figure out where the savings can be taking place and
Right.
what's happening that your team is likely not aware of.
Right.
And really how much savings potential is there. That's right?
Right.
Yeah. And then how do you get paid when we're like, okay, well, now that we know, what do we do about it?
We actually get paid after the client receives their money. And then we are billing the client.
Okay.
And it's all under an agreement.
Sure.
Now, the thing is we do have a 3-year agreement, but majority of our clients have been with us for 8.5 and over 10 years. So
Why is that? Why would they stay on with you that long? That's a really important distinction.
well, for one thing is they could do that themselves, or they could hire someone.
Yeah.
But they would be paying for them, hoping that they could find savings.
Right.
In our case, we find savings and they just share because they haven't paid for any of the background work.
Patrick, anything to add to what Jim's sharing?
Well, Jim's trying to be modest here. I'm thrilled to share that we're saving Major League Baseball over $2 million a year. Now, a lot of our companies that we speak with think that if we come in and take a look and find problems with their accounts, that maybe somebody at that company, maybe the CFO, maybe the bookkeeper, maybe the accountant, maybe the owner's wife, maybe the owner's husband, didn't know what he was doing properly, and they don't want to be embarrassed. Folks, this is too convoluted and too complicated to think that even your CPA can figure this out. We have major CPA company, one of the largest CPA firms here in Orlando is one of my clients. He provides me the referrals. I do the analysis for the statement, and then he can report back to his client the savings that he has saved them, what he's providing to them, and without doing any of the work, just doing the referral itself. So out front marketing, media marketing, we're saving them multiple 7 figures as well. Newark City Health Plus Hospitals, multiple 7 figures. St. Joseph's Hospital, $500,000 a year in savings. Boston Children's Hospital, we reduced their expenses by 17% annually.
Wow.
And that 17% reduction will continue as long as they're a client of ours, because we do the monitoring monthly of the statements. And in most cases, we even without the client's integration, we find problems with the changes or fix errors on the account and then notify them once the fix has taken place. They don't even know there was a problem. We continue to work on the accounts for years after we start doing business with them and continue monitoring every month so that they're always on the leading edge, paying the least amount possible, keeping the most amount possible, and making their processor maintain a level of integrity without, we want the processors to stay in business. Obviously, this is a very important business for the American Retail Association and the American businesses. But to make obscene profits and be overcharging by billions and billions of dollars without any regulation until now is part of what we do to protect our clients moving now and into the future as well.
What I'm hearing is that this is a robust enough process and it requires enough expertise, and it makes sense that it's outsourced rather than, dedicating some concentrated time from anybody in accounting and finance to expect that they can handle this aspect of, the finances on behalf of the business in addition to everything else that they do.
That's actually true. And depending on the size of the business itself, how many locations that particular business has, we offer all of our clients from the smallest to the largest a dashboard where they can log on and they can look at the health and wellness of their merchant services accounts at every one of those locations. So if there are things that we need to fix at 2 or 3 locations that are fine at the others, we can focus on working on those locations to bring them up to the same savings that we've created for all the other locations.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, this is a very robust business. We've saved our clients over $300 million in overcharges and fees in the last 18 years. And we're very proud of who we are, what we do, and how we do it.
So this has been something that obviously you've been working on and doing on behalf of businesses large and small for a very long time. Yet this class action lawsuit really has only been, it's got did you say 6-month window, and 3 months have already passed?
6 week window.
I'm sorry. Right.
No. This is why it's so important. It's a 6 week window.
Yeah.
3 weeks are gone.
Okay.
Then again, the last 3 weeks up until May 31st at midnight in your time zone is the last chance that you have
to file, to make a claim.
To start the filing of your claim. Yes,
not
ma'am.
everything has to be done. Not all the paperwork has to be done. I just have to make sure that I have put my name in and whatever basic information is needed. And you guys have provided a link and a website for to really get that started very easily. You've shared that earlier. Let's have you share it again.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The link there is startmycclaim.com.
Okay. And once we get on there, there's just going to be basic information, just at least get us started. And then the rest of the documentation, you'll let us know and help us navigate that
Right.
as at the same time that you're helping us with perhaps an audit.
Right. And we do have a customer service organization that the number will be available on the documentation.
If we have any questions, we've
Right.
got people there to help us.
Yeah, but there's also links, and Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, there's links into some very detailed court documentation that is good if you're an insomniac.
Oh yeah, it's all the court documentation from the first filings all the way through all of the appeals with all the timelines, all the dates, even a list of the original court filers. There's an 11-page list, and as you read through that list, some of those are regional companies, but again, Walmart, being a national organization, was a part of that original court filing itself, and then it became a class action, and then it became an antitrust lawsuit.
Yeah, and here in the Arizona area, Scottsdale, city of Scottsdale, and the city of Phoenix were on the original complaints. Part of my challenge in the next 3 weeks is to get the city managers of every other city to complain.
Okay, well, let's take this interview and make sure that they have a chance to at least keep an eye on what you guys are doing. And again, nothing but filing, right? The first step
Right.
is to simply file and put your
Absolutely.
name in and not miss that window. Because if you miss that window, there's nothing else that can be done on this particular class action lawsuit, correct?
And it's a one-page online form.
Just a
Yeah,
one pager. Okay.
We're going to explain what you need to do so that we can help you in the future, and then refer you to the actual court website. We're basically getting contact information, and the court wants the TIN number, or the taxpayer identification number,
Mm-hmm.
just to verify that you're a viable business so that they keep the fraud out of the system.
Yep.
And then once May 31st, they're going to take everyone that's requested to be included in the case, figure out how much is going to go to the attorneys, how much is going to go to the businesses, and to start writing checks.
In your experience, how long do you think something like this is going to take to have the payouts take place for business owners?
Well, Karen, I've been involved with the Employee Retention Tax Credit, and that was a federal program, not a court program, but a federal government program. And that's been going on for several years now. And we've had clients that have filed last year and still haven't received their checks yet. I don't expect this type of filing to be anywhere near like that, because it's all being taken care of and all the work is being done by the court itself. So I would hope 90 days probably to get a check. But again, we're dealing with the government, the court system. So that's just, it could be sooner than that. It could take longer than that. We just don't know at this point.
Okay. Yeah. I want to ask a question more for our listeners and viewers, how they can help spread the word. But before I actually ask you or have you answer that, what else about what you're offering as a complimentary service to just help people get themselves involved in this class action lawsuit, or in addition to what you're doing with your audits and how you work with businesses, is there anything else that we want to make sure our listeners and viewers are aware of around the context of even why we came together today? Anything else that I haven't thought to ask that they need to know?
Well, Patrick and I are involved in a number of different methods of increasing revenue to companies. So, and it would be different topics. It would be pretty hard to cover. But if you want to get in touch with us, please do. I can give you my phone number. I can't give you Pat's because he's on speed dial. But if you have any questions, my direct number is 480-389-5744. And to set your expectations, I'm usually on the phone, so you probably will talk to my voicemail first.
Hey, it's a start and a great way to get in touch with you. Thank you. Not everybody is always so generous to just put themselves out there. And I would love to have you both back at another time to talk about all the other things that you do as folks who are, really there to benefit business owners and help save and increase their bottom line. Let's focus, and I know that you were alluding to that. Let's just focus on today's topic. Patrick, anything else that we want to make sure that we cover around this class action lawsuit and what's taking place with Visa and Mastercard and protecting our business owners?
Well, it's always better to hire an expert. I never considered myself to be an expert at anything other than business telephone systems, which I had done most of my life. Getting into financial services, I can tell you there are a lot of reasons not to listen to so-called experts, especially when it comes to your retirement accounts, especially when it comes to your credit card processing. The owners of our company have been in this business for most of their lives, and the amount of knowledge they have, it just makes me look like a student myself. So we're able to share their knowledge, their background, their experiences, and their technical expertises through our agencies, like Jim's agency there in Phoenix, like my agency here in Central Florida. So we're just glad to be able to help businesses. And we know that if we help enough businesses get what they want and what they deserve, that we'll get what we deserve as well. And that's the reason we don't charge anything up front for our services. People ask us all the time, well, how do you make money? Well, we make money when we help save you money. So we just share in those savings. So we don't have hourly fees. We don't have charges for an audit. We don't have anything like that. We just provide a great service, the best in the country. We have no competition, really. Everybody likes to say that, but in this case, it's actually a reality. And we're just so proud of doing what we do and helping the businesses that we help, that we're actually looking for more people to be able to help more businesses, because 18.6 million businesses need to know about this class action lawsuit before the end of this month, 22 days left. So getting the word out is very important. And again, we thank you for using your platform to help the American business owner get this cash that they well deserve to receive back.
Excellent way to kind of segue to my last question then before we share again how people can stay in touch with you and the timeline. For our listening audience, how can they help spread the word? In my mind, it's, share this interview, reach out to you guys, maybe send an email to friends or a text to friends. What else are you thinking that needs to be done in order to get this done in these next several weeks?
Well, one of the things that I'm actually doing currently, and it's in the same building, is the Tempe Chamber of Commerce is located here.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they have just about 570 members. They're willing to share this information. Thing is, if you have anybody that you know that takes MasterCard Visa, and I mentioned the city of Tempe, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
you realize the water bills are paid with that. The traffic tickets are paid for that. The building permits are saved. And if we can save them pennies on the dollar that way, it'll all add up.
Yeah. So if you're a business owner and you are an executive director for a professional association, this is really your responsibility to spread the word. The BNI groups, the chambers at the municipal level, we don't have a lot of time to make sure that people have at least filed and put their name in to
Right.
make sure that they get what's coming to them.
Well, I think you also mentioned something that I kind of alluded to, but I didn't very well, is we do have a membership benefits program. So we can help the chambers, the associations, because they need fundraising and fund savings also.
Okay.
That's what, we will work with them to help them spread the word to their members.
Great. Okay, good. So again, your phone number and your email address, Jim, and then we'll let Patrick share where and how he'd like people to get in touch with him if it's anything beyond the...
Okay, my phone number in downtown Tempe is 480-389-5744. And you can also email me at jim@proactiveconnection.com.
Okay. And Patrick, how about you? What's the best way to get in touch with you in addition to that link that Jim has mentioned a couple of times?
Well, the website is the easiest way because I'm one of the administrators on the website. So if a question comes in, I may be one of the people that answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
But you're more than welcome to contact me at any time at area code 407-417-1096. That's 407-417-1096. And that's my cell, so it's on me all the time. You can call me, you can text me. Like Jim, I'm typically on the phone most of the day, either with my agent team or with clients that I'm working with. So if it goes to voicemail, just be patient, leave me a message. and I will call you back as soon as I possibly can.
Excellent. And Patrick, can I share your email address as well, or do you want to hold off on that and just have me give the website? Yeah. So
that's fine as well.
Yeah. Patrick Andrew Talley at gmail.com. Correct. So it's Patrick Andrew Talley at gmail.com. And again, that website is startmycclaim.com.
Right.
Wow. Great conversation.
That's a hard one to learn.
I don't know. I mean, it really sets the tone, right?
Right.
Are you being a smart guy?
Yeah. No, I always have to count the number of C's.
Right. I was just going to say 3 C's. Start my CC claim, my credit card claim, CC for creditcardclaim.com. Really appreciate your professionalism, your desire to help business owners to put money back into the pockets of merchants. You know, one of the things we talk a lot about here at Business RadioX is, conscious capitalism, finding a stakeholder win for everybody involved, the vendor, the client, the customer, the business owner, the community, whoever it is. And you guys are living examples of that. And I much appreciate your time and your expertise today. Thanks again for being here. Stay with us, Patrick, after we go off air. Just hold tight for just a moment. You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from Mac 6 Entrepreneur Center. Some media lean left, some lean right, and we lean business. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thanks for listening.